So now we're on to the next presentation, and I'm glad to introduce Olga Serbaeva from the University of Zurich, who will talk to us about the Nagas in the Jayadrathaya. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the organizers to invite me, and particular thanks to Robert Maya, with whom actually this presentation was born. I mean, it stems out of the needy research. Okay. So I would like to present you beautiful AI-generated Naga and 10 sub-subjects of my presentation. So let's start with aims. So my aims and questions would be to provide an overview of the question of Nagas and the Jayadrathaya model. We shall try to answer the following questions. Who are the Nagas? Where do they live? Do they bite? Is Hatakeshvara a Naga? How to enter the world of Nagas? How to torture them correctly? How Naga Kanyas are related to the Yoginis? And where do the Naga-related practices stand in the city ladder of the Jayadrathaya model? Let us start with a short introduction to the Jayadrathaya model. So it is compiled in northern India, closely before the time of Abhinavagupta, probably 10th century AD. I have nothing more precise to tell, unfortunately, up to this point. It is supposed to have 24,000 verses in 4 chapters. In reality, it has around 22,500 and some 202 chapters by number of standard colophons. Jayadrathaya model should not be seen as a text written by a single person, it's rather a compilation. And it has traces of about 500 different texts, of which 463 are listed in the Shatka 1, and in 3 remaining Shatkas have references to a number of others. And it is extremely abundant in all kinds of serpents, Nagas, and various other sorts, some 600 occurrences, I mean major passages only, so 2 to 4 serpents per chapter. A short notice on conventions. So a square bracket would signify that it is either my addition for clarity or it's totally unclear passage, and thus I provide the preliminary translation. The most important note is below. This presentation is dedicated to the memory of Ganesh. Okay, now let us move to our main subject. First of all, we would need to talk about the vocabulary. So Naga in Jayadrathaya means snake, elephant. Elephant would always be marked as Marta Nagendra. And it also means prana. And from this prana, because pranas stems all Krama Kundalini connections. So this is qualified by the term pani, panchapani, always refers to Kundalini. 5-hooded snake, always Kundalini, always Krama. And this will leave behind our presentation for today. So let us concentrate on general names for snakes. We have Sarpa, Vijanga, Uraga, Ahi, Kulika, Damstring, Vijihva, Panaga, Pani. Then we have classes of serpents as classes of beings. And here we have Sarpas, Kulikas, especially Ashtakulikas, so 8 kinds of special serpents, divine serpents, Nagas, and also as a class. And the whole range of personal names, of which Ananta, Vasuki, Takshaka, Karkotaka, etc., are most important. And there are more. So there is a chapter in Shatka 1, chapter 7, with a long list of snake names. Okay. Below you would see the major subjects. One of the most important subjects is poison. So poison appears to be extremely important for the Jayadrathaya model. Well, I don't know the reason, but this is how it is. In the context of poison, we have such terms as Bhujanga, Sarpa, Naga, Kulika, Kula Nagas, as they all bite. They're all poisonous. Antidotes would include Vidyas, Yogas, Mudras, power of the goddess, some kind of direct intervention, water sprinkling, giving water to drink, and poison transfer. So poison is a major problem, of course, and low kind Dakinis, Kshudra Dakinis, and Plutas are very close to snakes. They both appear in kind of medical context. Many Jayadrathaya Vidyas mention poison removal as a side result of Vidya application. Let us switch to poison transfer. So this is in the context of Mata Chakreshwari Vidya. The results of your 1000 syllable Vidya take 3 chapters, and this is a short passage on poison removal. I will just read it through because it has quite some correspondence with previous presentations. Or 21. Now I will explain the great law of the destruction of poison. The wise one, having consecrated the water, should also strike the biter. Otherwise, the water should be given for drinking, which has been consecrated with a mantra 3 times. Then even the one who has been beaten to death, so Kaladashta, will become free of poison. O goddess, even if one here it's unclear, one voluntarily took serpent poison, he will be rendered poisonless by use of water empowered with mantras. Otherwise, O goddess of gods, having taken a poison which is 1 year old, with tips of both hands, purified by the previously explained Nyasa, Nyasa is not explained there, so we clearly have a piece of another text, having recited a mantra of Shiva for a period of a mantra over it, and having visualized himself as a king of Garudas, having taken the poison in the hand, visualizing the nose and elephant goat, so these are 2 mudras used in yogic practice to transfer something. He will be able to kill a serpent for the sake of wealth, there is no doubt. He who has the essence of the nature of consciousness, here Krama comes, established in the state which is all-pervading. Having the body freed from doubt, he transmits the poison. He will be able to destroy this world, there is no doubt about it. Or having grasped the water vessel with a trick, holding the poison, by means of yoga of renunciation, which is like a magic, having recited over it, the water, the king of Vidyas. In the text is Vidya Ragya, and it looks very corrupted in all manuscripts and is probably Buddhist. We don't know, more research is needed. He then transmits the strong poison to whom he wishes. By this method, O goddess of gods, he can play with the serpent as he pleases. By means of procedure related to rope and elephant goat, so again we have this yogic mudras, having joined it with a video beautiful, the proficient will then become able to attract and expel serpents. By means of Mahakundala Bandha, he can remove or bring the curse. O goddess, at these dangerous poisons beginning with metal linger have been explained. By merely sprinkling that with water, the best practitioner would destroy it. The poison called conch will be destroyed by mere remembrance, by him whose intent is the destruction of poison. The stationary, moving, artificial, and the one born of metal objects, the one called conch, those 5 kinds of poison together with the treatment have been explained. So this is a mysterious chapter on poison transfer, which somehow in the wording gives this idea of Pashupata related to merit and demerit transfer. Also requires probably more research. Let us get to a particular chapter of the goddess. It's a form of Kali called Kulikantaki. It is totally dedicated to serpent poison. A venerable goddess said, now I wish to hear about the supreme goddess who destroys poison. O Bhairava, tell me how is that Kali of great fortune? Venerable Bhairava said, listen, O one to whom the lords of God bow this supreme secret, this incomparable procedure of the goddess, which pacifies the pride of poison, destroys nightmares, makes fall the wicked serpent. She is called Kulikantakari, that is destroyer of Kulika. Listen to that, O most excellent. Then we have a coded video, because all Jayadrathaya videos are coded, and when you decode this, we see that she's called Khageshwari and Kulikantaki. Next, we're coming to her description. And we know that she, Karankini, is skinny, looking like a blue cloud, decorated with an apron made of snakes, sitting on the shoulders of Garuda. She has 3 eyes, which are like millions of suns, and with them she kills Maheshwari. She grasps and drinks the liquor from the lords of great Kula serpents, radiant with terrible row of whom she is a destroyer of fear. I don't have, unfortunately, any real sculpture to show you, but I can show you an AI-generated image of how she might look at it. And all features listed in Jayadrathaya are here, so as for description is quite precise.
Yeah, wow.
And let us go back. So she should be properly worked. It was all heroic offerings, where again in extreme tantric context. He, the sadhaka, should satisfy Karanki need with alcohol, liquor, and meat. He, the sadhaka, offers the supreme flesh, which is human flesh, Mahamamsa, into fire, and she bestows on him many accomplishments. Then we have a long list of Siddhi she gives. O goddess, having received such a sacrifice, she devours a mountain of poison. The clan of Kula Nagas, so Kula repeated 2 times in the thing, she grasps what a miracle. There, where he remembers the goddess within 100 yojanas, the leaders of serpents will get destroyed and mountains of poison will fall. And it continues on quite some time, so the drink becomes free of poison. What more to tell? Again, the same 5 kinds of poisons are listed. Oh, beautiful, the Lord of Sadhaka will destroy all of them with a glance. And he will shake the world of Nagas, hitting this world out of anger. Having gone to the choicest mountain of Bhadra, the great hero should repeat the Vidya 100,000 times, and by the japa he will fly in the sky. And do it with all supernatural powers, like the second Bhairava. Otherwise, having repeated the Vidya 100,000 times, so same, he will get success in all actions, putting under control, attraction, aversion, healing, driving mad, etc. Destruction of Nagas, and most importantly, destruction of poisons. The sadhaka will be successful also in multiple other actions. And we have classical Jayadrathaya colophon. Now, let me quickly zoom out of here. And let us come to the next part, which I will only describe in brief. So, in Jayadrathaya, throughout the text, we have a great serpent fashion. They love to wear snakes in all shapes and forms. And so we have, of course, I don't have images, but only description. So we have instances of the serpents being worn as sacred thread, both by male, Bhairava, Narasimha, and female figures, so regardless. And I would like, by this, also attract your attention to an excellent book by Shrestha Ram Prakash called Nivar Traditional Motifs and Designs, which is a kind of Robert Beer, but for Nivari art. Okay. And with this, I would like to show you an instance of extremely rare sight, so a Naga earrings. I have seen one mentioned in Jayadrathaya, and here we have a Nivari representation of a Naga earring. And probably most important reference would be Mekhala made of serpents. I have 3 references in Jayadratha. So adorned with garland of hairs, she's embellished with a serpent girdle. She's adorned with a snake apron and should be worshipped standing on the shoulders of Garuda. She's adorned with an excellent apron and bracelets, both made of the terrible nuts consisting of Kula nuggets. And when she has an apron of something, it's like a sign of domination. This means that really this particular form of Kali is against either serpent bites or breaks the locks that close the door of Patala, the underworld paradise. Okay. Now I would like to take you with me to Patala. And here we have, so majority of reference here would be from Jayadrathaya 1, which is an earlier strata in this Shaiva Shakta transmission. And not surprisingly that in some chapters of Jayadratha, the Nagas are very revered. We have here 2 lists of divine being, lords of Godwins, Siddhas, Gandharvas, Kinaras, Avishis, etc., and even longer list below. And all of these beings constitute the 16-fold creation, and they participate in the revelation of the Tantric tradition. So they're extremely important. One particular figure stands out in this well-organized world, and his name is Hatakeshwara. This figure is considered to be some Shaiva deity, and the first person to mention him was, of course, Alexis Sanderson many years ago. But I have my grounds to believe that in Jayadrathaya he is a Naga. So, in the chapter 1, chapter 7, the same one which gives a long list of Naga, we have a description of Patala right after the hells. And there, so to each region, the text attributes some Nagas, so 3 Nagas, 3 Rakshasas, a color of the region, and some precious stone or metal. However, this structure already breaks into total chaos after second Patala, but I would like to tell you what the Nagas are doing there. They enjoy the delightful opulent festival of lovemaking with the Naga maidens. So this is their main occupation throughout the day. And in the description of second Patala, we have 3 serpent kings who exist enjoying and supporting the earth, Prahrada, Vahnijihva, and the strong Hataka. So this would be the first reference to Hatakeshwara. And then we have later in the same chapter a description of them, which is supposed, by logic of the text, to belong to the 7th Patala description. Covered with hoods, the rays of jewels that are the best of suppliers, like flowers and plant shoots, like branches that have partially sprouted on a coral tree, like branches of celestial wish-granting tree, like sugarcane stalks. These are the great Nagas and Hatakesha in order. So I believe that he had some serpent features, definitely. But why he's so important is because every tantric sadhaka, while entering to this underworld, first thing he goes after surviving the yantras and attacks of supernatural beings, he goes to Hatakeshwara Mandira and worships him. However, this is again, it does not stay this way through this multi-layered Jayadratha, and we have a Krama Kali standing on the head of Hatakeshwara, Hatakeshwara Mudastha Kali. Okay. Now I would like that we change the point of view. So far it was described in very general terms and was more or less non-violent. Now we're changing to sadhaka point of view. The sadhaka who wants to master Naga. And we shall do the Naga Loka Sadhana together. Good. Naga Loka Sadhana. Let's revise the basics. So first of all, we need to find the entrance, and the entrance is called Bila or Shrimukha. In order to find this entrance, we have to use Avesha, prolonged possession mostly on a child, or use an enchanted compass, also possession of an object called Korika in Jayadratha, and that shows where the entrance to the Naga world is. Then, having come to the place, we have to bind the direction, so it's kind of protective circle where the rope is fixed with pegs, and do other protective rituals. Then we have to dry the lake of Nagas or burn their world altogether. When they appear with gifts, there is possibility to select magical objects or a Naga girl or entrance to Patala. There we can stay and enjoy until sun moon exist and even achieve liberation there. Jayadrathaya is supposed to be compiled in Kashmir, but these references to entrance to Naga world are repeatedly called as a Dravida practice. And I'd like to bring you some examples here, first with a longer reference to the goddess called Ekatara. So in this particular chapter, we don't have the reference to Dravida, but there is a parallel chapter in the same Jayadratha also naming this goddess, and it's called Dravida. So these are closely connected. Having resorted to the abode of Nagas, he should perform the following poison-related procedure. Having prepared 4 gardas sizing 21 hands, the incomparable vajra made of khadira wood, ashes, and mustard seeds, and having taken all that equipment, he should do the sadhana. He should recite the mantra over the sharp nails made of khadira wood for 1,000 times. Then he should fix them with 8 directions, and throw there also the ashes and mustard seeds. Then he should offer the asurika poison into fire, having made it immersed in mustard oil of 8 measures, because I think it doesn't burn without. By this, the water of the lake resembling the ocean will dry up. If it does not dry up, then he should take an arrow looking like a snake, and having recited the mantra for 100 times, he should make it enter the water with fierce state of mind. Here it's not clear what he's doing, if he just puts it there, but in the other reference, he shoots the arrow. Then, without doubt, the lots of hoods beginning with Ananta will burn. Then he should put there the great Vajra. Again, why Vajra in Shaiva context? Is it some Buddhist reference? Over which 1,000 mantras have been recited with cruel state of mind. Then powerful burning will go to the head of the Naga. Then he comes with servants, army, and mounts. Protect, protect, thus murmuring, he says, I'm burnt, burnt. The Naga proposes rasa, so magical juice, liquid, rasayana, alchemy, magic sword, magical stone, kind of philosophy stone, roshana, some transformative substance, paduka, magical sandals which give ability to move to any desired place, sacred thread, anjana, so used on the eyes to be able to see the stuff, and whatever the substance desired. The sadhaka should take that or a nagakanya. If he does not want, he may make the snake enter in snake form inside the pitch. In the place where there is no water, he can place the snake without problems. And the next reference says that he can keep that magical snake in a pot, and he installs him as his own son, Putra. So it's kind of a snake relation. As long as moon and sun shine, as long as earth endures, so long the sadhaka remains unrestrained. By the power of goddess of gods, may my speech be true. This is Naga with Ravani, the procedure of driving Naga away. It works by 100,000 repetitions. One shakes the world and makes fall the mechanism closing the bila. He will be able to turn the mountains into power. He may accumulate great sins. The video of the goddess of gods is known to do everything upon a single remembrance. By repeating it 300,000 times, he will, by japa and yoga, obtain the state of a universal ruler. And so we have a classical ending of the chapter here. Now let me navigate out, and let's see a couple of other references to Dravida practice. So we have in Shavka 4, chapter 17, Dravida procedure. And here the sadhaka actually uses the poison arrows, and here has to shoot them one by one, or all 27 at once. And we have these 2 times Dravida references. Another important note here is that so he can take a nagakanya and he can use them as a kind of magical servant. So he sends them from place to place and they perform various actions for him. And yet another Dravida practice is the next chapter after this one. So he sees as a naga, and the mantra expert should send him where he pleases. He should place the naga in the place devoid of water and the like a sun. So this is a reference. And the whole aim of this practice is not something yogini related. It is not Kali Kula. We are not at this higher level of the Jayadrathaya Mala cake. We're here somewhere down at the bottom. Probably some proto-tantric references. So because his aim is to become a Vidyadhara. And the last reference is here. Basically, it's again the same procedure with arrows, and Dravida here is slightly corrupted. So in all manuscript, because they're all copies of the same, it's written Dravidra. But otherwise, it's really the same practice. Okay. Now, I would like to show you some other miscorrespondences. So we have 3 kinds of mudras, Mushala, Mudgara, and Simha mudra, that are sort of proposed to sadhakas in the Shavka 4, the last one, as some kind of instrument that would allow him to master the circuits. They either remove the poison or break the gates, and the same for the mantras. However, these old instruments are not linked at all to what we saw previously, to all these Naga procedures of Dravidic kind. So as for
About 5 minutes.
yes. As for the mantras, we have specific goddesses, specific kali forms with their mantras dedicated to mastery of serpent world. But we also have some padas of the larger mantras, especially those that have more than 1,000 syllables, that either remove poison or destroy the nagas, or let's take in particular one from Jayadrathaya 3.5, one which is called the dream, the sleeping state, Nidrakya Sarvasarpanam. So she makes to sleep the normal serpent, and she crushes the nagas. There are multiple references, maybe a few hundred of such. It's now, and now I'm slowly moving to conclusive part. So is mastery of Naga a must in the Jayadrathaya? It's difficult to say, but each major Vidya mentions them. And the earliest strata of Jayadratha was sufficient. It was sufficient to just to go to the world of Nagas and get all magical objects and they take it from there. In more recent layers of this text, the Nagas, they become sort of a layer under Yogini, and this breaks the old logic. And we have kind of tension between the old Naga practices and the new Yogini-related practices. However, these Yogini-related practices, they mirror the ancient treatment inflicted on Naginis and Yakshins. If we take CD hierarchy in the Jayadrathaya, we will see that Naga-related practices pervade the whole structure. So if we take the top one, which are of course union with the deity, becoming Kali, flying, Melapa, actually full transformation, but also Mahashari Mukha Samsiddhi. At the range of middle cities, we have Patala or Madhyama Bila Siddhaya, all these magical objects that can only be obtained from Patala, this Naga removal. And at the lower level, we have low black magic actions, knowing the future, making objects and people possessed, creating illusion, but also Naga removal and all kinds of poison removal. Thus, we can conclude that Nagas pervade the whole structure of the Jayadrathaya monk. And I will drop these two subjects where actually sadhaka has a power over animals, and there is also a particular chapter which is influenced by Siddha Yogeshwari Mata because it's cited, where sadhaka assumes the form of a snake. So, but if there are any questions, we could do it later. And now we come to the conclusion. The Naga subject is very important and present in Jayadrathaya, but it is not uniform. It has traces of very ancient practices on which Kalikula and Krama were placed as a top layer. The bottom layer has proto-tantric traces. The practices to enter the Patala are called Dravida repeatedly, and the South Indian roots of the Jayadrathaya practice must be explored. The yogini-related practices, when sadhaka puts a supernatural being under control, look very similar to the treatment of Naginis. There is more material on that, so I just didn't show it. And there is traces of tension between these newer and older layers. Thank you very much for your attention.